Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very bizarre live stream. Again, I'm running on half a MacBook, so you've got to bear with me here. But what I've done is try and go and assemble some of Philly Sports Network's finest. We've got the Discord server open for you guys to come in and chat. We've got our writer Nick Faria with us. We're going to be talking all things free agency, the good, mostly the bad and the ugly. It's been a frustrating day. So instead of just starting with me, I'll turn it to Nick first off, because this is Nick's YouTube debut. He's joined PSN relatively recently. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing good. It's been an exciting time. Just giving some background for everybody. I work for ESPN right now, so it's been a pretty busy day in terms of NFL free agency. But really excited to talk some Eagles and NFL.
So let's start straight up with the cornerback situation. I think that's going to be the thing that's on everyone's lips. It's what's consumed our group chat for most of the day. I mean, what's the most frustrating part? Is it that the Eagles aren't making any moves, or the fact that they're being mentioned with everyone, but then still not making moves?
It's definitely the latter. When you look at it from a perspective of, okay, a couple weeks ago an article comes out saying, oh, the Eagles are going to be very aggressive in free agency. They're going to go after the top guys. They're going to be aggressive in trying to nab a top corner or a safety or a linebacker. And for the last 3 days or so since the tampering period started, they've been pretty dead silent outside of three specific moves. So it's the aggravation. I get a lot of Eagle fans. The aggravation of not doing anything after letting a star like Malcolm Jenkins go and not having a set plan in place immediately after.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most annoying thing. It just kind of go through the comments already. The one interesting one that's just stuck out comes from Christopher Marden. Says they don't need to make a move just to make a move. Byron Jones was not worth $50 million. Do we debate that? I mean, because I would say pay him whatever he wants. If he wants $100 million and my child, he can have him at this point.
Like, I get it, yeah. And that's part of the question because we've seen in the past where was Namdi Asama worth his contract when he started? Or, was Byron Maxwell worth his contract when he started? These are guys that you brought in thinking that they would be the number one corner, and you paid them like a number one corner, and then absolutely, fell flat on their face. So this is just a simple, okay, let's do whatever the guy wants. You have to stay smart under the cap restrictions. But the other piece of that is this, at the top players, you got to pay for the top players. And if Byron Jones is a top five corner, which I think almost all of us agree that he is, you got to fork over that money.
100%. Just going through your comments, guys. Welcome in. I know it's a little bit late in America. It's 1 a.m. here, but I think it's like 9 there, right? Roughly. So 50 of you tuning in. It'd be amazing if you could hit that like button if you're new around the stream. We've got all the regulars. We've got Brandon Lindemuth, who I'm sure is going to come onto the stream and drop some more eloquent knowledge. We've got Patrick Hoffman, our dreamy little administrator. Geordie Fighter's in here as well. Rio Mio says hello. And Bryce says time to let Howie go. Now that, bizarrely, I don't think is a rare thought. I've seen that mentioned a lot today on social media of people growing impatient with Howie Roseman. Now, we obviously, Nick, have had a slightly different insight into Howie Roseman over the last couple of days due to essentially source work and trying to network and that sort of thing. There is a growing consensus with Roseman that he is so, I think, heavily invested in the draft. In a time like this, when the free agent drop between top tier and mid tier is so high, how true is that? And does it become damaging in a way until the draft period when we're magically like, well, okay, we're fine again, we've got X amount of players?
And I always say this, I am a big proponent of NFL history. I love it. I've studied it for a very long time. You look at how the championship teams were built, and it's always through the draft. It's always through the draft. It's building through the draft and getting one or two free agents that help you along the way. You look at Philadelphia's 2017 championship season, that was similar to what the Denver Broncos did just a couple years earlier, where they accumulate a lot of free agents and then get that one major run for the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. But then you got to pay these guys, and you have to make tougher decisions. And if you don't hit on your draft picks, then it becomes even worse of a situation. So this is kind of a product of what they did to get that first title. And obviously it was worth it, but now you have to sit there and say, okay, if you want to move into the draft, that's fine. That's a little bit different from what you did before, but you better hit on your draft pick.
Absolutely. And on that note, we've just brought in our second guest. This one will be some familiar to many people, but I feel like we're speed dating because Nick is going to talk to Thomas verbally for the first time now. Thomas Ringard Peterson, our resident doctor of Eagles nomics, is here today. Hopefully keeping safe out there in Denmark. Thomas, I know it's been frustrating for a lot of Eagles fans today. Where do you stand on all this? I know obviously it's a little bit tricky to kind of make a firm judgment at this point, but is there anything that's standing out to you? Hello.
So it's really back and forth between sort of overreacting to every time a cornerback goes off the board, and also keeping it a little bit cool, thinking how much money do we have, what can we really spend on. So it's a little bit back and forth. It's a little frustrating. I'd like to see somebody sign to the Eagles by now, just so we have some video to go through and we can actually evaluate some players.
True. I mean, on that note, I know you've gone straight into the recent tape of yesterday's hallmark signing, Javon Hargrave, someone that I think he's probably being downplayed purely because it's not a direct position of need. It's like the Eagles may as well, in the eyes of many, signed a punter yesterday because it's not a wide receiver, a corner, or a linebacker, so therefore everyone's panicking. But I think genuinely, like from what I've seen, I've only just got to the tape like an hour ago, like while the video was uploading for today. I think for the price, I think he just probably played his way out of Pittsburgh's reach in terms of what he would demand. Like, he was a very, very solid nose tackle from what I've seen. Someone that's going to push the pile and swallow double teams, but plays with a bit more finesse and athleticism to his game than most nose tackles have.
He's really good. I reached out to one of my friends that works on an NFL Danish site, and he's a Steelers fan. He's one of the most respected guys I have. He's such a nerd when it comes to grinding tape. And I asked him, all right, so who's Javon Hargrave? What can you give me? And directly translated, I'm looking at it now, it says he can do it all. Top 10 player in the free agency this year. Just watch his tape and enjoy it. He's a phenomenal player. I firmly believe he could have had 10 sacks if he had a little bit more snaps. Still dominant against the run. All right, so what I saw when I revisited the tape myself is a big squatty guy. Like, yes, he's such a big butt, man. It's hard.
Are you checking him out, Thomas?
Oh yeah, I'm checking it out. I mean, I gave him the elevator look, but I stopped at the thighs. This guy can double team like no other D-line we've seen in recent Eagles memory, and still he has some explosiveness to him. You can see when he was drafted, when you see the 2016 tape, you can see that he's a little bit, he was too fat back then. Now, he didn't move that fast, he wasn't that explosive. Then you watch the 2019 tape, you see a totally different player, a lot more twitchy when he gets out of the stands. You can see him winning against the center at the snap, where he just pushes the guy out the way, really creating some pressures all by himself. And notice this is a guy who has been addressed as a nose tackle because he plays the 0-and-1 technique so extremely well when he's playing the run. But really, to be fair, he's rushing the passer as if it was a 3-tech for 3 defensive tackle, or really let's say a 3-4 nose tackle. He's pretty good.
It's good to know. I'm very excited to dive into the tape, and I'll give it my kind of, normal ruling. But I mean, Nick, what did you make of the Hargrave signing yesterday? Again, I think it's something that has gone under the radar.
I honestly, looking at Hargrave, and I've talked to a lot of Steeler reporters recently, and I think one of the reasons why, and people are asking, how does this guy get out to the free agent market? One of the reasons is because Bud Dupree was going to be a free agent and a franchise tag him. So they had to make a choice between Hargrave or Bud Dupree, and the answer is obvious. You go with a pass rusher that had 10+ sacks, and they clearly did that. They've already started restructuring guys to make sure that Dupree stays a Steeler. But a lot of Steeler reporters are saying this guy is a real combo, defensive tackle, similar to what Casey Hampton did in the 3-4 scheme. But the difference between him and Hampton was Hampton could only play the nose tackle. This guy is very versatile within that 3 technique. He'll able to rush the passer from the inside even better than what Casey Hampton used to do.
It sounds really promising. Again, I can't wait to get into the tape. Just going to quickly do some admin here and look through the comments. Guys, I know a couple of you have said you want to call in. The best way to do it is if you download the Discord app. I'm sure Patrick has put links in already. If you're in our Discord server, there's a channel called Waiting Room. If you join there, we know you want to come in and say hello, chat some Eagles with us. We'll drag you down. And it's as simple as that, really. It's basically a budget radio show, but a little bit more fun. And to the guys that have gone straight into draft chat, I know there's already been a lot of talk about wide receivers. Paul Carlson's apparently not a fan of T. Higgins. He's mentioning CJ Henderson in a different conversation. Angry Eagles fan says, I watched the tape on T. Higgins. He's unathletic. He's feasted on subpar ACC corners and even then rarely got separation. What do you say to that, Thomas, as someone I know that has been diving way too deep for anyone's liking on wide receiver tape this offseason?
I love the talk draft. I thought we were going to sit here and pitch and whine over free agency. Let's talk the draft about that. Definitely not a fan of T. Higgins from an Eagles perspective. I think he did some good things. He's a good receiver when it comes to out positioning the cornerbacks and going up with jump balls and all the things that we said about J.J. Whiteside coming out of college that he was good at. T. Higgins is by no means a speed receiver. He won't burn anyone. He doesn't run particularly good routes. He has some drops that are just really, really bad. And every time you see a wide receiver drop a ball as an Eagles fan, you go, oh, I do not want that. So I'm not a fan of T. Higgins at all. I think there's a lot of better options for the Eagles looking outside of the top three guys, and you obviously all know who are. Definitely Denzel Mims and Justin Jefferson are the ones that comes to mind for me. And should the Eagles stay put at 21, I think those are the ones we're going to be talking about. Should they go for a receiver at 21, which they are kind of pushing themselves into the corner that they have to do with their ignoring of the position right now.
Yeah, it's definitely been a position of interest. I mean, the whole wide receiver position is genuinely something that is, I think, basically dominated the entire offseason. And I think there's a lot of concern as to just how deep this rabbit hole is going to go. Because on the surface, it's not that bad in inverted commas. Because if we're being open about it, okay, it's likely that Alshon Jeffrey doesn't return. I think if he does after this couple days of free agent, imagine, right, on a separate note, that Day 3 of free agency ends, the Eagles do nothing after all we've seen today, and the one bit of news that comes out is Alshon Jeffrey stays with the team. Could you imagine?
Everything would burn.
I know, it would be...
Run myself off a bus.
I mean, between that and Ronald Darby coming back, I don't know how I would cry myself to sleep.
The best thing about it, the silver lining of that story would be how everyone would be so fucking wrong about Alshon Jeffrey being a snitch. Because if he stays with the team, we all know that he was definitely not.
True.
It had to have been Malcolm then. It would have, if they chose to keep Alshon Jeffrey over Malcolm Jenkins, then that means that it was Malcolm that was the snitch, and that Jeffrey wasn't. That's the only explanation.
Conspiracy theories.
We're going deep. This is like that 4 a.m. top 10 unsolved mysteries on Reddit kind of vibe. We're going all in with it today. But guys, if you're new, I know we've got 73 of you now watching. If you're new around the channel, if you can hit that like button, it would mean everything to us. It's what keeps this stream going. We're at 21 at the minute. I'll tell you what, if we get to 50 likes, we'll do a t-shirt giveaway. That's you scratch my back and I'll put a t-shirt on yours. Right, that's what we're going to go with. So we'll go with that. In terms of anyone in the Discord server in the waiting room, not yet. So if you want to call in, waiting room channel on the Discord server. I know there are a load of you. All the regulars are in. The most recent news, and let's touch on this, because all we've been doing today, really, guys, is sat in our group chat for work, ticking off names of cornerbacks that aren't signing with the Eagles, right? And it's gone from bad to worse. And just as I upload the video saying that Desmond Trufant is the guy that I'll be all in on, he ends up with the Detroit Lions, which should theoretically open up the trade waves to Darius Slay. But I know now me and Nick were debating this. A lot about Darius Slay, really, but the price for Darius Slay, do you think it's going up or down at the minute? Like, if you're inquiring about Darius Slay, is it up or down?
Here's the thing, and you're looking at trading for a player like Darius Slay. There's a couple things that come to mind. First off, the contract's expiring next year, so this isn't like you're going to have him for a long period of time. So they're going to want to negotiate a long-term deal. That's going to bring Slay's price tag down if you're Detroit. You're not going to ask for a first or second round pick if he's only going to stay there for a year. So ultimately, I'm thinking right around that third or fourth pick that's going to be available will probably be the best option. And the other thing is this, Liam. I know you've mentioned before how you're not really sold on it in terms of fit, but we have to remember something here. When Asante Samuel came into the defense for Jim Johnson, a very heavy blitz scheme, putting corners on an island. Asante Samuel came from New England, which was a predominantly zone defense. Philadelphia wasn't that type of defense all the way through, and Asante ended up fitting perfectly fine because they allowed Asante to play to his skill set. They didn't allow Nnamdi Asomugha to do that, but if you're Jim Schwartz, you have to allow a corner like Darius Slay to play his style, and then you're going to get the best out if you make that trade.
That would infuriate me though, because do you not think that with the variety of corners that they've got, if you look at the secondary right now, Rasul Douglas, 6'2", rangy as anything, ball hawk. I remember that 2018 season, led the team in passes defense despite barely playing. They don't play him. They don't play him to his strengths. They've only just in the last what feels like 6 games learned how to line up in press coverage properly. It doesn't feel like they did. And that was my main criticism with the Derby move last year, was that you bring him in, and Derby's strength is like a trail corner, someone that can mirror and match well, that's good deep. But asking him to play 10 yards off and play what's in front of him when he can't tackle, when you've got Jalen Mills who can tackle but can't cover, it was never going to work. It was a disaster the second it happened. I said that day one. It's about the only thing I'm right about, so I'll keep harping on about it.
But you gotta remember something else with that, though. You're talking about Ronald Darby, you're talking about Rasul Douglas. All those guys were under contract. If you bring in Darius Slay, you're signing him to a long-term deal that keeps him in Philadelphia for most likely the rest of his career. You don't have a choice. It's very similar to what the Patriots did with Stephon Gilmore. You bring in Gilmore with all this money, you better fit him in with what he's comfortable with, because it's just a waste of money.
But in that regard, though, I totally agree with that. If you don't play to his strengths, it is a huge waste of money. My main concern now, then, is if you look at, all right, well, they're going to presumably they've lost the Byron Jones sweepstakes. If we are to believe that all the hype was genuine and the Adam Schefters and the Josina Andersons of the world were all right and the Eagles were fully in on Byron Jones, then we can only assume that they've looked at the price and gone, nah, taking it, cut it, not for me, not my kind of guy. What makes Darius Slay different, other than the fact that every other option is gone, which is surely going to inflate the price? Byron Jones got a big bag. I think Trey Wayne's got overpaid. I think that doesn't help. I think that a couple of, James Bradbury was a fair deal. I think that was understandable. But a couple of the other, they're not, even Chris Harris. This isn't doing Philadelphia any favours. They're going to have to pay him. He came into this offseason wanting to be paid like a premier cornerback in the NFL. And now you're going to end up having to give a mid-round or something just to get it, then guarantee him 5 years worth of salary. I think it's too little too late. That's my personal view on it. And I think that it's trying to force something for the sake of forcing it because you've missed everything else. I would much rather look at a trade market with other corners. And I'd have to take a proper look. I don't want to put any names out at the risk of sounding a bit silly. But I think that would be the better market. Yeah, of course. Oh God, no. No. No, I no.
I was just making sure because the whole age thing sometimes gets thrown around.
No.
Wildly without the context of. And I was on the Patrick Peterson trade for him, trade during the season. I was basically on the trade for anyone. I was also like, Chris Harris is the guy we have to get.
Right.
But he's 29 as well, in terms of just as Darius Slay is right now, just for the context of what we're saying.
Yeah. Age for me isn't really the thing. It's more, the thing is Darius Slay is very good at what Darius Slay does, which is being very quick, shutting out half the field, and more importantly, being really impressive around the catch point, which is something the Eagles just haven't had in about 10 years. Since Asante Samuel, I can't name the last time they've had a decent corner that can be viable at the catch point. The problem with that is it's the exact same weakness as Ronald Darby, in that tackling is a nightmare. Like we found out today, Steve, who I know has just slid into the watch room here, so Steve Bevan, our honorary Eagles writer for this period, is here now. Who told me earlier today that essentially what we saw was 11% missed tackles from Darius Slay. And when I put the tape on and I watched Darius Slay, and I watched 4 games, I think, overall, for the comparison with Byron Jones. With Byron Jones, you saw game 1 to game was exactly the same. You know, what you were getting, technique was the same, consistency was there, fundamentals were ideal. Slay would vary, and when he was in phase for run fit, just didn't show up. There was a game, I think it was against the Packers, I want to say, and it was it was an Aaron Jones touchdown at the goal line. Didn't want any part of it, and he was literally in the nickel when that counter was called, didn't bother, just stood up. And it's like, I don't like that effort. There are plays where he just phases out on me, and I'm like, if I'm paying a corner upwards of $20 million, be it guaranteed or not, I want you running sideline to sideline every play to be involved. I don't want you taking half a play off because the game's over, or dipping your shoulders down and shrugging because something hasn't gone your way. I want something that's a bit more... Something like Prince Nakamura will be brilliant. Because he's got that swagger and that fire about him. But I didn't get that with Byron Jones. With Darius Slay. And I can't tell if it is just me or if anyone else has noticed anything similar.
Liam, you got to remember something else. So let's say this. Let's say they trade for Darius Slay and then sign someone like Logan Ryan.
Right.
Would that solve a lot of the issue? Because now all of a sudden you have Logan Ryan, a physical corner, who's a very good tackler. You have Jalen Mills, who will probably take over that Malcolm Jenkins safety in the box type player, who's a very good tackler, as we've noted. Does that make it a little bit better? I think it does, because he's a better coverage corner than Ronald Darby was.
It does, but you have to get corners that complement each other as opposed to contrast weaknesses. And that pairing can work, because where Slay lacks, you're going to have a strength then from Ryan, right? But even Ryan had like double-digit passes defense last year. So you're getting 2 solid corners that are going to bounce off each other. But the Eagles, for whatever reason, haven't been able to work that out. And you've got, like I said, Jalen Mills has now moved to safety. I've been on the Rasul Douglas safety train for so long. And I get the Jalen Mills that used to play it before. But let's just throw it over to Steve, who's come in and sat very patiently, bless him, and waited. So Steve, who has been churning out Eagles content for us over the last couple of days while I've been running around left, right and centre doing all the live stuff. How are you feeling about this current cornerback dilemma?
Well, the main thing I've got is a bonus bit with you, because my beautiful cornerback piece that was set to go up on the website is now been ruined. And both Chris Harris bugger off to the teams. Now I'm going to rewrite that tonight. No, but I mean, Andrew also ruined my opinion on Darius Slay, which is annoying because you've got in my head. I was fired at Liam from the get-go.
I know, he's come in and he just started shouting at me. I'm not having it. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, to be fair, I've said this for a while and I'll keep on saying it. I'm still not too worried. I might get a lot of hate for that. You got to get a lot of praise for that. You've still got Logan Ryan out there. You've still got Prince Nakamura out there.
Yeah.
Pairing those together is free agency, depending on how much money they actually want. I can't imagine it's going to be too much. And with the cap space we've got left, I can't see why we can't do both the contracts for both players. Logan Ryan with the BRC we want. Amukar, like you said, Liam in the Slack chat earlier, he's a cracking little quarterback too. And then that solves the issues. Then you go and draft a couple of youngsters in and around round 4 or below, really develop them. And then all of a sudden you've got a decent cornerback core out of nowhere. People seem to be really panicking. And the thing with Darius Slay is he's going to be wanting to be paid a lot of money. Do you really want to pay Darius Slay that money?
No.
Other options are out there.
Okay, I would position it like this. Would you rather have, because I know we've got one of our first guest of the evening, who's now going to be coming into what feels like a very Philly Sports Network pub discussion. Before we get to that, I know we've got 111 of you watching. If you do want to come on and chat with us, we're going to keep posting links to the Discord server. Join the Discord. There's a channel called Waiting Room. If you join that, come and hang out. We promise we don't bite. The second the video gets to 50 likes, we will give away a t-shirt. And if you can hit the subscribe button if you're new, that would be fantastic. But would you rather, before we bring on our first guest of the evening, Darius Slay, let's say 16 million, Darius Slay for 1 year, right? Ignore the rest of the contract for now, just the upfront cost. Or a combination of Logan Ryan and a Nakamura. Because that's what they've done with Malcolm Jenkins, right? It's cutting one very good player and then getting two for roughly the same price at the same spot in Jalen Mills and Rodney McLeod.
But with the other cornerbacks have been going for a true amount was 11.5 per year.
Gotta remember something else though.
What?
Them still waiting, them still being free agents, only hurts their value. The longer they wait, the lower the price is going to be. Javon comes in, this is the first day of free agency, and he's off the board. These other guys, Ryan and Mukamara, waiting as long is going to hurt that value. That might actually, and it's a good point that Steve and Liam brought up, because that might actually help.
That's very true.
But what I'm saying is you're not going to get Logan Ryan and Prince Mukamara for 60 mil per year when basically every other cornerback is going for about 10 mil plus right now.
Yeah, it's getting a bit silly money up there, but that's what I think it's very enticing, and I think there is. I was talking earlier. I put a tweet up about is there pressure on the Eagles or not right now at the cornerback position, and I can't tell if there is or not. It's like if they want a cornerback, there's pressure. If they don't really care about who's going where, sort of thing. So it's like if they're not focusing on for all we know, they could be lining a trade up to go and land CB1 in the draft. Like that would be the most. It's incomprehensible, but. You never know. With all the assets they've got, they might just think, all right, we'll get Robbie Anderson, we'll bolster up the D-line. That leaves us what? We can get a nice little cheeky linebacker. We could get Patrick Queen at 21. We could end up a nice... I know there are some really nice corners in like round 2-ish and beyond. It gets a little bit murky after that. But linebacker, you've got like maybe Akeem Davis-Gaither, round 3. And I think we're all really high on him here. We've got him on the Flipping the Birds podcast next week. You never know. Like they might just... It could have all been... just hearsay. They could have been putting the wool over our eyes and behind the scenes just lining something a bit different up.
Well, you've got Christian Fulton in the first round of the draft. It could easily fall to 21.
You never know. You never know. And on that note, we're going to bring on our first guest of the evening. Someone I don't think has actually missed a live stream. Jay Fizzle Dizzle. Welcome to what has become, as we said, the PSN pub chat. How are you doing? Does this mean you're going to be relatively calm today? Does this mean you're going to be relatively calm today?
The man is about to catch coronavirus in the train. Of course he's not doing it. So about the DeAndre Hopkins situation, there was mostly fan-created rumor that they wanted Miles Sanders. It wasn't really something that was put out by anything official, but let's just stick with it for the fun of it. Would you have traded Miles Sanders in the second round pick for DeAndre Hopkins in the fourth round pick? Absolutely. I would saying as well, like he's going to be the cornerstone. He's so much more than running back for this team.
I see your point, and I raise you Ryan
I miss Ryan. Do you remember that time when everyone thought Ryan Matthews was going to be like the guy? What a time that was. I missed that. That was fun. Hey, we will not tolerate Sam Bradford slander in this call. All right. I'll tell you what though, like Sam Bradford's agent is the same guy that represented Antonio Brown, Jay Ajayi. I think he did Byron Jones as well. Was it? Did he do Byron Jones, Drew Rosenhaus? Either way, he's all or nothing, Drew Rosenhaus. For every Sam Bradford, there is an Antonio Brown. That's not a sentence I ever thought I would say.
Sell the general public that the Eagles could win a playoff game in the Super Bowl with Sam Bradford, and the only reasoning was, why not? Why not? Why couldn't he do it? Oh my God! Because Sam Bradford's a bum. I'm sorry, He's a bum.
Right. Next stream we have, I will sit here in my Sam Bradford jersey, and I refuse to be told otherwise. I will sit here and I will turn around. And I miss him. I miss those little eyes. He had a little way about him, didn't he? That would just, you couldn't be angry for too long. It's like, oh well, fine. You just move on with it. But all right. So what are you feeling about before we, move on to other topics? Then overall free agency. You spoke about corners. I think we've run that into the ground. We know linebacker is a bit of a pressing need at the minute. How are you feeling about that situation, knowing that Camu's now got? That shocked me. That genuinely shocked me that Camu Hill was allowed to walk out. Yeah. Mm. Dude, 5 years ago, I was in my emo phase. I had a curtain haircut. I was tripping out. I mean, not much has changed, but in the same way, 5 years is a long time. And it's like, I get that. I think it's just, is that move of Jalen Mills to safety because, it's let's move him to safety because he's clearly a better safety and there was signs of that as a corner last year? Or is it, oh my God, we don't have a safety. We want to keep Jalen Mills, but he's not good enough to play corner. Let's get him further away from the action. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have to draft somebody, or draft somebody for the corner, and I was already expecting us to do that. And I was already expecting us to bring somebody in. Probably somebody some rotating player, not fast to ride, just again, come in as a filling guy, special teams, or if somebody gets hurt, then you know what I'm saying, you can be cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safety because Jalen is also part of the people who for the last 2 seasons has not been consistent in staying on the field.
Yeah,
I don't know. We're just moving chairs around at this point. Like, it's not helping anybody.
It's interesting. I think I.
have a comment on the Camo thing.
Oh, go.
Do you think that the whole idea of him hiding a concussion put a splinter in the whole trust between the training staff, the medical staff, and Camo, so they didn't really want to bring him back, even in $3 million, because they didn't trust him?
100%. I think so.
I agree.
Nothing against him when players, new and old, have consistently come out and been like, yeah, the medical team has not been telling me the right thing. Just, what was it, 2 years ago when Jordan Matthews was starting, so they told me one thing, and it was actually something more serious.
Yeah.
I get that, but we're talking about a concussion.
But it's an ideal. I think the thing with that very specific incident, I can't even talk anymore. You can tell I've been like, I'm running to the ground at this point. But the thing with that moment, we'll go with, like, for me, was the fact that it was nothing to do with the training. Like, if we just focus on player to coach, that's a direct, I think, trust thing, right? That wasn't the only time it happened that year. Deshaun Jackson was like, no, I'm good, don't need surgery. That went well. That was great. Jordan Howard's stinger, like somewhere along the line, there was at least a misconnect between the player, the coaching staff, the medical staff, and the media. And I don't know where it started, I don't know where it ended, but it was fractured, it had been for a long time. That was like top of the iceberg, and it was the one isolated incident the Eagles could say, yeah, that was on the player because he lied about it. We don't know. Like, why did Deshaun Jackson not get a little bit of flack for not taking surgery in that same vein, Because he's not a star, because Camu's not a star, and he's a special teamer and a role player, that some might say, yeah, he's expendable, we can get rid of him. But Deshaun Jackson, everyone gets on their knees, oh, he didn't know, he's all right, he was just trying to do what's... And it's like, let's not call a spade a spade. Like, at the end of the day, they both did the exact same thing. I just genuinely feel like the Eagles had to make a statement and say we're moving on now, and the medical staff is moving on as well, and we're not going to have a repeat of anything like that from last year. Yeah, it was a lot of soft tissue, a lot of Lisfranc injuries as well, I think, from memory. But Nick, what about you? Because I know you're obviously, very plugged in with teams around the league, and obviously with your job and stuff. Like, how bad was the Eagles' medical situation, or is it still currently in comparison to what we see elsewhere?
Well, I think comparing the Eagles' medical staff, I think the only other group that can compare to how bad it was, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles have the worst medical staffs, or had the worst medical staffs. And you got to remember something. Philadelphia is bad. The Washington Redskins medical staff did not find an actual tumor in the brain of their all-pro Hall of Fame left tackle, and then lied to the coaching staff about it so the front office could find that left tackle. Embarrassing situation. Everyone should have been fired, and they eventually were. The fact that the Eagles are even as close to that as possible is ridiculous.
I mean,
before all the Lisfranc injuries and the toe injuries, but the problem stems from the fact that when Chip Kelly left, and you got to remember something, and Chip Kelly, everyone hates him in Philadelphia, and for good reason. There weren't a lot of major injuries in Philadelphia under Chip Kelly. That program that he had actually worked when it came to player health. The problem was everything else did. So when Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson come in, they're trying to change so much that, we're going to change this path as well, and that's where all these injuries come from.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bizarre. And I mean, even going back to that, Nick, like you made a really great comparison with the tumor there. Let's not forget John Dorenbos, who was then sent to the New Orleans Saints, and their medical staff found a condition that the Eagles didn't, right? Which was life-changing. And then he had to give up football, and now he's obviously doing very well for himself, and he's a lot better, which is fantastic. But that could have been, like Jordan Matthews was misdiagnosed, went to Buffalo and was told if he'd gone through a surgery, he probably wouldn't have been able to play football again. I don't get it. Like, it's shocking. I mean, like, Thomas, just for context, you're in the medical field. If someone gets misdiagnosed, does that person that's done the misdiagnosing typically get fired, right? That's a thing? Uh-oh. Oh.
You're keeping it a secret. Like that whole thing is just atrocious. You can't do that. And if you're talking about Zach Ertz, who splintered his kidney or whatever that was, and you go on a week after says he can play, and he re-ruptures his kidney, then you're gonna be fired. Like we're talking about all those kind of things. But going to a Deshaun Jackson case where he doesn't get surgery, for example, all the evidence points to that. Usually, it's not. You don't need surgery. So why would you go ahead and tell the player you should have surgery if the evidence doesn't say that it helps? So then it's on Deshaun Jackson, like you said, to say, all right, but I want the surgery so I can be fully prepared for it. Then you have informed consent from the player. They know what they're saying yes or what they're saying no to. So it's really just it's a matter of where you're doing it and what cases you're dealing with. I think when it comes to the Eagles, there were just so many injuries, and they were mishandled. And say Darren Sproles, who came back with his hamstring injury time and time again, he kept getting re-aggravated. Like that wasn't great. And so I think the accumulation from the Eagles' standpoint should lead to a firing, of course.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're talking about sports doctors who are on professional football teams where there are millions of dollars involved, or you're talking about the regular general practitioner where the demands obviously are much lower.
Of course. Yeah, it was supposed to be a little segue, and I didn't realise how brutal it sounded really at the time. But yeah, I think it's a great point. And on a very interesting segue now, a lot of the comments straight back to Darius Slay, probably because of obviously what we've seen over the last maybe an hour or so, where he's tweeted saying it's helping his trade along. So he very clearly wants out. That might give the Eagles some leverage. But a lot of the comments in here, including like Paul Carlson, Jamal Johnson, Peanut Wolford, just giving you guys shout outs really. Basically asking, including Tyler Dalla Piazza, how much would you give for Darius Slay? So we'll do a little round robin. We'll start with our guest of honour, Jay Fizzle Dizzle. How much would you give the Lions for Darius Slay? All right.
Then you're not getting him. Then he's going to the Raiders, or we're not getting him for 2/4.
All right. Okay. So on that, all right. So Thomas, straight disagreement in this game of deal or no deal. What would you give him, Thomas, for the Lions?
I'd try with a third-round pick this year, and then I'd go with either a sixth-round pick this year or fifth-round next year. If they don't bite on that, I would look into a player, see if they wanted any guy like Sidney Jones just for depth, or if they want one of the defensive tackles that became a little bit expendable. I had the idea of Malik Jackson, but it turns out there's a lot of dead cap there, so they'd have to figure out some of the money if they were to involve him in the trade. I think my ultimate offer for them would be a second-round pick next year.
All right. Okay. So here's something. Yeah, but okay, all right. So We've got to. All right.
And we have to pay him.
That's what I don't get. That's what annoyed me about Byron Jones. It's like if you were that all in, but you wouldn't. It's like fine, but now you're gonna have to give up some kind of capital. Like my thing would be, and I'll position this to Nick, but before we get Nick's prediction, then how much money, if you could, right? If it was like soccer and you could buy things, or you could just buy a player or whatever. If you could buy a third round pick for salary cap, how much cap space would a third round pick cost? Just the pick, so like 5 million, do you reckon?
Usually, third round pick usually make around the 5-10 million mark. Depends on what position it is, obviously. The corner would probably make around 10 million total. But just going back to that Darius Slay, what would you give? I'm looking at the draft picks right now. I think you give the 103rd overall, the compensatory pick that you got, and then you give the 168th overall, the 5th round pick from New England. So I think the most you're giving up is a third and a fifth. Anything more than that is way too much.
All right, okay. And Steve, our final contestant here on the panel, what would you give up for Darius Slay? After, me poisoning your mind so horribly. Oh no, okay. It's because it's so far. Basically, what's happened, as people are asking about the audio, my MacBook is dying. I can't see the screens. I've had to move it to a second monitor. To get the audio from that monitor, my microphone has to be by it, so I'm a million miles away, is what's happened. But, Steve, what would you give for Darius Slay?
What you shouted at always to I'll give them a packet of peanuts because I just don't want him anymore. I'm sorry.
I've poisoned him. I've poisoned his mind. I'm so sorry.
Like I said to you there, this is going to make me look like a right idiot, but I haven't really watched Darius Slay much in his career. Like bits and pieces I've seen anyway. But the majority of what I was going off with my love for Darius Slay, he was an absolute monster in my Madden career a few years ago. So
Right.
that's where my love for Darius Slay comes from. But I genuinely wouldn't trade for Darius Slay. He's going to want too much money in terms of contract. It's going to cost you picks that we need for filling up different holes across the board. We're going to now focus more on a running back because of Jordan Howard leaving. So personally, I'll try and see if I can go and get Logan Ryan and Prince and Kamara as a duo rather than trying to trade for Slay.
That's fair. Patrick Hoffman says he'd give his heart for Slay. So that's I don't know. I think he'd have to give me something at this point. I'll be like, give me a nice dinner. Yeah, take me out, treat me. Change my mind. But I wouldn't be. Huh?
Can I defend Slay a little bit because I feel as though
Yeah, no. That's what. Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
All right, so we're talking about a three-time Pro Bowler in his recent years, 2017 to 2019. Those are the three most recent years. He's been a Pro Bowler in each of those. You're talking about his tackling. If you look at his tackle efficiency among all cornerbacks and defensive backs in the last 5 years, he's been top 20 of all defensive backs, averaging 15 tackles per missed tackle. That is pretty good. So I don't know the games you've been watching.
2019, not a 5-year span. I don't want, if I'm paying for something, I don't want if, buts and maybes and could have beens. I want future and what I've got on tape. Like instantly. Like,
11.5% tackle percentage. That just doesn't matter.
Hold on.
it's getting feisty, lads. We're off.
So, if you're gonna say, okay, he misses a lot of tackles, are we gonna forget what Asante Samuel was like? That dude did not tackle the best.
Oh no. Yeah, I think right. That's the difference. But
You want Darius Slay doing exactly that? Wouldn't you put him in that position to be the ball hawk?
I don't think they can though. I don't think they can. Like that, it's schematically like ingrained. Like, all right. So Thomas, on defending Darius Slay. Right, but most of them were like 2017, where he turned into a transformer. It was all 2017, and then since 2017, like I can only go off what I've seen. Like I don't 5-year samples are great. It's like saying Malcolm Jenkins doesn't miss a snap in 5 years. The main thing is he didn't do it last year when he's the oldest he's ever been, and most people thought he'd start tailing off when he didn't. It's recency, like especially with free agency. Like with a draft, you can go right year 1 to year 5, or freshman to senior, whatever. He's risen up, he's developed, he's done this, he's done that. Excellent, because you're buying all of that. You're buying that journey. I think with the NFL, once you get there, if you're 29 years old, I don't care what you did at age 25. Like, I just don't. I want what you've done at age 28 last year and how that fits me now. Because otherwise, you're going to be sat with a beard.
His pass rate of the past few years is 8, 12, 13, 10, 10. It's pretty evenly distributed. His interceptions are 2, 3, 8.
Yeah, picks. But it's in terms of the, like, if you watched, like, all 22 from his games last year?
No. That's why I'm coming down to you. Like, all
Right.
the tape that's been grinded on him, that's where I'm on you. And obviously there's a disconnect there because I trust what you see on film, and I get that, but the numbers don't lie. He's allowing
No, but
passer rating all throughout his career.
when yeah.
Hands on the ball a lot, and the numbers say he doesn't miss a lot of tackles. I'm just saying the numbers don't match the hate.
No, I'm not giving hate.
The other piece to that,
I think.
the other piece to that is this. When you're looking at Darius Slay and you're looking at the film, okay, that's perfectly fine. But this is clearly a guy that wants out of his current situation. You don't think that if he moves to Philadelphia or moves to a different place, that he would want to play better because he's in a better situation that he wants in Detroit?
I hope so. I mean, but I think. Well,
The ones that Detroit and being on a playoff team now with a really better defense, I think he would actually want to play better. I think that would be a better situation.
I hope so. I mean, the thing is, right, I don't want to come off like I'm shouting at Darius Slay or being horrible or mean. Like, I'm really not. I'll move my way back to this bit. So I'm going to keep moving it backwards and forwards. I'm on like a radio show now. But I'm not trying to get into Darius Slay and like dispel him and be all horrible and say, oh, it's not worth it. My problem is that for the same price point, you could have had Byron Jones. And Byron Jones, in my mind, is a significantly better corner for this system. Not overall, because the interception thing's going to come up and all the rest of it. And, like overall, it depends what you want in your corner. It's very scheme dependent, I think. That's why Miami, I think, got a great thing. They're going to probably move on from Xavier Howard now, which is an intriguing option to compare with Darius Slay. I just think that if I'm going to give up a mid-round pick, compensatory or not, we know how he values them, then pay him top-tier money, you better be damn sure in what you're getting. And when I watched it, I was a bit upset because I was expecting someone that I've loved. I remember watching Thanksgiving games at work when I used to work for Apple and being shouted at to turn it off and being so besotted with Slay in that season because he was incredible that 2017 season. He was amazing. But 2019 for me, I don't know. Something just wasn't there. Like, it wasn't the same play. Like, around the catch point, if he's playing bail technique, it's excellent. His footwork's fine. His speed's fine. He's amazing at the top of the route. But looking at where the Eagles went wrong with Ronald Darby and looking at the problems and the slander and how much abuse players get now for missing tackles and being inconsistent, I wouldn't want to take a risk on someone in comparison to the same price as Jones, who is fundamentally a way better tackler, who's a much better zone cornerback. Like, Slay to me is a man press, get me on an island with this guy cornerback. And the Eagles, if they don't adapt the scheme around him, I think we'll be making a mistake. If they get Slay and they mould the scheme and they say, all right, let's put you on an island, let's move the safeties around, let's do some creative things with blitzing now that we've got a million different pass rushes, right? Amazing. But I'm not sure I've got the confidence in Schwartz to do that because he hasn't given that to me, despite the fact they've drafted 3 cornerbacks and that's gone brilliant. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that I'm coming down on Slay, but it's like if you're telling me you're worth a certain amount of money and your production plays to less than that on tape, then there's going to be a case of, all right, well, what's the deal? Is it effort because he doesn't like Detroit? And let's just say, all right, if we're going to play to Nick's, I know I've gone on a massive rant here and it's 2 a.m. I'm really sorry about this. But to Nick's point, which was very valid about, all right, is it because of the situation in Detroit and he wants out and this, that and the other? Let's put Slay in the situation this year where you had so many white noise and you had Orlando Scandrick going off and you had the anonymous sources and you had all this controversy off the field with the Eagles. If that happened again and this Eagles team started doing what they did against Washington in the first half and end up having to claw their way back, and blowing stupid games against the Dodgers. You're telling me that Darius Slay, after what he did in Detroit in terms of a questionable effort potential there, might not do the same again because he's happy because he's getting money now? Like, I don't think he will.
Because you're missing one other piece to that. He was unhappy in Detroit. They brought in Trey Flowers, and that was it. It wasn't as though there were multiple pieces that were very, very good on that Lions defense. That Lions defense was atrocious. The Lions got the injury bug early, and no one really came back. So Slay, it was literally Slay and a bunch of other dudes. So when you look at it from that perspective, look, it's time for the show, a brighter side. Probably because the dude was fed up with the fact that the team stunk. His team stunk because Matt Patricia should not be a head coach in this league. I would argue he's probably one of the more overrated coordinators in this league as well. To the point that he was probably upset the fact that no one else was healthy around him at all.
But I mean, he's gonna love Philadelphia then because everyone's always healthy, surely.
Can I ask you for a quick clarification
On what one? Sorry.
Can I ask for a quick clarification on something you said on the film?
Yes.
You said he plays the ball a lot better than Ron Darby. So when you compare it to him, you say kind of like Ron Darby, but a lot better.
He's basically Ronald Darby if Ronald Darby didn't. Right, so I would say if you're going to compare them, right, and you've got, I think a really bad analogy now, haven't I, for Ron Brown? So Darius Slay is basically Ronald Darby if Ronald Darby could play football. I'm going to be as kind as I can. Like what Ronald Darby should be is what Darius Slay is, but there's still a fundamental weakness scheme-wise. Like if you put Ronald Darby in another team where it's man and it's pressed, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a massive bounce-back season, and then it's like, oh, well, couldn't do that for the Eagles, and that would happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think Ronald Darby's a bad corner. I think Ronald Darby is put in situations where he's only tasked with his weaknesses. Also, before we come back, like, just a massive shout, because this has been the most fun. This has been like a Slack chat, like all day. So the PSN group chat, this has been like 3 days of just opinions coming out. And this is why I think, we love what we do. Because we've got now 130 of you listening to the Elimination Chamber equivalent of Cornerback Talk. And I just could be more fun. So it's great stuff. I mean, on Darius Slay then, Thomas, because I know me and you have disagreed with Slay for a while. What would you sell me like to try and bring me over your side? Because I've already poisoned Steve. Like Steve's a lost cause at this point. Like,
Real quick. To get down to your point where you were talking about how the defense wasn't playing to his strength, and then also how we had a bad game in Miami. On the flip side of that, though, we also had the games where the defense kept us afloat.
Yeah.
Against the Seahawks. We also had, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we had games where the defense had to step up, and they very much did step up. So, and also, who do we have at corner that was also the skill talent up there in this place? So that we could put him on an island and not have to worry about him. So I think that with his talent in our defense would allow certain things to develop and would allow people to get after the quarterback a lot more, would allow other people to be able to play their game too.
That's fair. I think I don't want to sound harsh. It's like if Darius Slay was a free agent, I wouldn't be as harsh as I am. I'd be like, go sign him. He's a great cornerback, and it is a huge upgrade over what we've got. It's just the fact that Byron Jones was at that exact same price point, but Slay, you've got to pay that price point and then add a little pick on top. And I'm like, well, if I'm paying more, I want more, and I'm getting less, like in my mind. So like. Thomas, like, what in your eyes then? Like, what does Slay do well that I miss? Obviously, we know the catch point stuff and the when target. Like, when the ball's in the air, he's fine as long as the guy's behind him. I think that's the thing.
I've mostly been looking on Darius Slay in terms of numbers, and I've been relying on what you've been saying in terms of what you see on film and what some of his strengths are. What I hear you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that he's really good at the catch point.
Yes.
He's good in man-to-man.
Yeah.
And he's a speedy cornerback.
Yes.
And I look back on his draft measurables, runs a 4.36 40. He had a really good 3-cone, so that makes sense. Like he's really fast. He can catch up with people. Really good in press. He's good with ball skills. And then I looked at the tape that I've done from 2019 Eagles defense when they run a ton of cover one man. They run surprisingly a lot of cover zero blitz packages, and they run inverted cover two. It basically looks like they're having the cornerbacks playing man on their respected outside receivers. So I imagine putting Darius Slay in that situation. You have a cover one where you can rely on your safety a little bit, going over to the other side where Darius Slay's not at. Say you have Sultakos there, you have Sidney Jones over there. You can have your safety cheat a little bit more over to that side and leave Darius Slay on his island alone, one-on-one with whoever he's lining up against the other side. So that would be the intriguing part for me. So combining the numbers in his production, combining what you're saying his strengths are, I would actually say that this guy, to me, from what you're saying, sounds like a perfect fit for Philadelphia.
The one thing, I'm going to put a horror story in your mind now, okay? Imagine that exact same look, all right? Everyone close your eyes, okay? Whether you're in the YouTube chat, we've got 133 of you. I want, what's double one? 266 eyes closed, okay? And imagine a cover one. You've got one safety over the top, Darius Slay's in man coverage, and you're facing the New York Giants, okay? Darius Slay's lined up on some random receiver that no one cares about because it's the Giants. And they're just going to run a go route. It's man coverage. Slay goes with him, takes him out. Mwah, beautiful. But then, underneath, Saquon Barkley comes on a screen. And now Darius Slay has to come down and tackle Saquon Barkley. And he's charging downhill. He misses Saquon Barkley, who then runs up 40 yards and scores a touchdown. That's my nightmare.
Then, in that situation, I'm just going to be screaming fucking Nate Gary because he didn't cover it. He missed the tackle, right?
Let's also bring up another point too, because I'll raise that counterpoint then. Let's say you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and Amari Cooper, if we remember 2 years ago, down the field against whatever corner that we were playing up against, put Darius Slay on Amari Cooper. I guarantee you that's not going to be the exact same outcome.
That's
That's another good point.
Or Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I think.
We gotta play some top tier wide receivers this year too, right?
So we need goddamn quarterbacks.
Basically, yeah. At this point, forget it. Just bring him in. I'm done. So just bring him in. I don't care. Just get him in. Just get him in. Just get someone. Bring them all. All right, okay. So, I mean, that has been probably the most fiery PSN chat we've had. I've loved every second of that discussion. That was brilliant. I mean, that's why, you know, it's like sibling rivalries. It's like we can all disagree, but it's that respectful, passionate disagreeing. It's fun. We've also, lads, in that meantime, while we've been going back and forth on Darius Slay and exchanging verbal blows, have passed 50 likes on the stream, which means it is time for a t-shirt giveaway. We've got 140 of you watching now. So if you haven't already, all right, give it a like, because, you know, we're now giving away free things. So that's always an incentive, okay? If you're new around the channel, which I know some of you might be, if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be amazing. We're almost at 16,000. So if we can hit that milestone or get as close to it tonight as we can, that'd be unbelievable. So we need to think of a question where everyone can answer in the chat. Something that's a bit kind of like cryptic. And then the first one to get it right will give away a t-shirt. So if any of you guys got any ideas, I'll let you take the lead, because if I'm honest, my head was frazzled at about 10 p.m. tonight. I don't know why I decided to do this stream. I just missed you all a lot and I wanted to have a little chat. So if you've got a question that you think would be good for a giveaway, just say it out loud and I'll roll with it.
Your trivia question?
Yeah. In the meantime, right, while we're thinking then, if anyone's got any other ideas, let us know for giveaways. We might give away another one if we get to 100 likes. That's it. We're at 60, all right? We've got 130 of you in. If we get to 100 likes, we'll give away 2 t-shirts. We've somehow got 3 dislikes, okay, so you're not getting it, whoever you are. While we're thinking of Eagles trivia then, let's talk running backs for a minute, because obviously the Eagles did lose Jordan Howard today, and I know that Miles Sanders has been a hot topic of conversation because he was bizarrely in Houston trade, which we won't bring up. I think there's not much weight to them personally. In terms of running back, though, moving forward, obviously.
Wait, 1 second. I'm just going to interrupt you. We have more people in the waiting room.
Oh, do we? Oh, do we? Do we? Oh, we do. Oh, okay, right, fair. We'll bring everyone in. We'll have a big party. Is what we're going to do. We have a big PSN Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? It's Thursday here. It's Thursday there, right? That's how it works. So Lindy's in. Geordie's in. Everyone's in. A big PSN group hug is what we're having right now. Brandon, how you doing?
What's up, Liam? I just noticed I got in here. I had to turn the video off in the background so it ain't doubling. What's going on?
It's all good, man. I think we finally got all the Darius Slay anger and passion out of our system, so we're doing all right. Okay, so we'll flip you the first question then. Running back situation. How are you feeling? Like, obviously we've lost Jordan Howard. You've got Miles Sanders and Boston Scott there. Is there someone that you think would fill that role? I know Carlos Hyde's a name that both Thomas and Stephen have floated around today. Could you see something like that?
Yes and no. You know what? I've been thinking about the running back situation currently, and I'm not as worried about it as I was before. Hold on. I gotta make sure I don't got much stuff that's what I heard in that phone. No, I don't. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a different scenario to the cornerback room, the safeties, the linebackers. We shouldn't have much cause for positive running backs because we're in a scenario right now where Miles Sanders is essentially trying to become a LaShawn McCoy 2.0, and where he's going to be the leader of the running back room. He showed tremendous promise in a rookie campaign. And Boston Scott kind of like that perfect complementary guy to him. So the way I see it, I don't necessarily think that we need to remain in a running back by committee system. We may just be perfectly fine with Scott and Sanders as the two on offense, and then if Elijah Holyfield has any kind of promise, just see what he can do on special teams, or put Boston Scott in there on return.
Good shout. I mean,
I think we got a decent foundation at running back right now.
that's a good shout. Right, Thomas, I'll quickly come to you with that because I know you're someone that is, we've all kind of watched Holyfield and stuff. What are your opinions on him from what you've seen?
I need you to repeat the question. Your phone.
Oh, hang on, I'll move my mic again. Here we are. What are your opinions on Elijah Holyfield?
I'm a big fan of Elijah Holyfield.
Yeah.
Actually, I was a little bit curious why he wasn't mentioned in the same with Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and then Elijah Holyfield should come right after because I mean he is on the team, and not only is he on the team, he's been praised by Dave Spadaro, the Eagles insider, and usually when he comes out praising players, it's because they're not really going anywhere, just in the foreseeable future at least. So Elijah Holyfield is he's an intriguing guy because he's big and he's incredibly strong. I don't know if you've seen the picture of him there in the training camp when he's standing there with his big ass arms. He's the guy who's going to run over people in the same essence that Jordan Howard was doing. He's not a guy who's going to break for 90-yard score like we could imagine Miles Sanders would do. He's a guy who's going to go in there and pound the rock to 3 yards, even though he's in a bad situation, and move the chains guy when they need someone bigger to get in there. So I think Elijah would fill the hole of Jordan Howard nicely, and I don't think they necessarily need to go out and spend a lot of money or draft capital on replacing him.
Okay, all right. So let's shift gears a little bit onto wide receiver then, because I think somehow we've been so focused on Darius Slay. Okay.
I know, but I mean the biggest problem with Jordan is the fact that we gotta remember this man is coming off of 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons before he came to Philadelphia. I think he wants to be a dominant starter back again in the league the way he had it for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I understand that he showed support in the role of a committee situation with the running backs, but to me, Jordan Howard deserves to be a number 1 running back, and I think that's what he's solely looking for. I mean, he gave us his dues, and he walked the walk that he was supposed to. But I understand it.
Hold on.
Oh God.
training.
I agree with all that. But one thing about my list, but you also got to bring up people like Cornerback, who still went out and got Roddy Brown, who are also two really good players. So we've always had, we might have had a lead back, but we've always had at least 2 to 3 running backs that can throw at any given time. So, and especially with the offense that we run, we always need a power running back. The most success we've had as an organization came when Garrett Blunt was out there handling business and people downfield. I think it doesn't make sense to me to have that. And then also have Jordan Howard, who's the producer in this offense, who literally took a deal. And granted, I see that he's want to be a number one in Miami and everything like that. But do we know if we offered him a contract and he turned it down to be a number one? Because I don't even think we offered him a deal.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
That's true, but I think that's lingering in the back of his mind, though, at the same time.
Fair enough, that if we didn't even offer him a deal, he was productive in our offense, and again, we have to deal with the medical team letting somebody down because he was perfectly healthy before he came to Philly, played all 16 games, all 3 this year, 23rd year. It doesn't make sense to me to not offer him a contract and at least make him an offer, and especially seeing what he took. He took you getting a $10 million deal, $5 million a year. That's not real running back money.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's definite point. Yeah, if we don't know whether or not he's about this offer, but if they decided not to, that's an indictment on the front office. But I mean, either way, we have a fantastic foundation in the midst with Miles Sanders. He's just an unbelievable running back. I mean, what he did in his first season was kind of underrated because everyone was paying attention to Josh Jacobs, and they were hoping Devin Singletary was going to come out, and them two were going to battle. Nobody really seen this coming from Miles. And I agree. And so I mean, that's where I'm going with this whole thing. And he just shows too much promise to really share the spotlight with 3 running backs instead of 2.
I disagree on that one. I think that we definitely should have at least 3 running backs at any given time.
I know. I'm saying, let me rephrase. With the likes of a guy like Jordan Howard, you can argue that Miles and Jordan are both number 1 type running backs. So there's got to be a numerical balance there. And I think that balance is more stable.
Here's my point. I think Philly does best with a running team. If you want to go ahead and hand the ball off to a young running back for 20, 30 times as maybe before the Boston. Also, we do have Boston Scott there. They're both really good at passing game and everything like that. But I think right now, if let's just say this is the team that we have to go forward with because I don't know who we're going to pick up in the draft as far as wide receivers go. So we have to have a bunch of things that we're going to be running personnel and stuff like that. I think that we need to reduce it for those short yard situations. I think we not even if not bruiser, like you can bring somebody like Freeman would help out a lot. I mean, he's not a shifty guy. He's not the biggest of power runners, but he can still catch. He's more of a complete back, and he's a little bit more powerful than Miles Sanders. And he can just help take that load off of Miles' back so we can keep him fresh throughout the season. Because we're going to rely on him a lot. Again, we're going to need him in the passing game, we're going to need him in the blocking game, we're going to need him to actually start making home runs. So just having somebody with him and with Boston Scott. Also, having them running and somebody that's cool because I like Holyfield. But if Holyfield was going to do something, he would have been able to play in the playoff game that Jordan would take these sacks. So for him not to be at that game would make sense.
Very fair. On that note, I'm going to jump in because I've got an Eagles trivia question. Well, there's 2. So we're going to say Patrick sent me one. We're going to save that for if we hit 100 likes. Okay, that's on you guys. We're giving 2 giveaways for PSN t-shirts. They should be listed under the video, so you can scroll through and see what... I mean, I've got one on, so you can look at that one. That's pretty. Okay, you can have that. Could be yours if you answer this trivia question, right? All you've got to do to enter, 1, like the video. There's 120 of you and 67 likes. So that, straight up, we've got to work on that, boys. Let's sort it out. 2, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have gained a fair amount tonight. We'd love to make you part of our family. But the main thing you need to do, first person in the chat will be... whoever answers the question first will win the t-shirt. Okay, so... Who led the Eagles in special teams tackles in Carson Wentz's rookie season? No Googling, all right? Just straight up answers in the chat. Who led the Eagles in special teams tackles in Carson Wentz's rookie season? If you get it in the chat. If you say it out loud and ruin it, Thomas, I swear to God.
I have no idea. I'll just say the one that did in 2019 was your linebacker MVP, TJ Edwards. You can continue now.
Was it? It was, wasn't it? Yeah. It was. And then 2018 and 2017. All right, so Peanut Wolford says Kamaguchi Hill. Wrong. Justin Billett. Wrong. Michael Blackman. Wrong. You all say Kamaguchi Hill. Brian Brayman. What a shout that is. But no, Nafex gets it. Chris Marra goes, but he didn't say the right. He said Chris Marr, who may... Does Chris Marr exist? Do we give him benefit of the doubt? Do we give a point for Chris Marr? But I don't know. I mean, we could be nice. We can't not give him that, surely. I mean... Thomas says Byron Maxwell. No, I think, yeah, we'll give it. All right, so Nate.
You think about it. He was the best special teamer we've had for like 4 or 5 years when Chip Kelly brought him in. He was the top guy until he retired.
I know, I miss him. He was lovely. So Nafet, I will give it to you. These horrible people wouldn't, okay? But luckily for you, I'll sort it out. So if you shoot me a DM. On Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, if not, you're not getting it. All right, that's the deal. If you shoot me a DM on Twitter at Liam Jenkins PSN, we'll get you a t-shirt sent out. Okay, I've got to stop doing this. I'm gonna, especially with coronavirus. Like if I get isolated and bearing in mind there's no sports happening right now, so we're very lucky. Free agency is chaotic and YouTube's going well because otherwise I might be dead. So I've got to stop giving away t-shirts left, right, and centre. But if we get to 100 likes, we will do another one. We're at 73 now. Just keep them coming, and then we'll give away another t-shirt if you fancy it. Well, let's turn it to Steve, because I know Steve's been a little bit quiet over just watching the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I mean, what's your next fight, Steve? What are we pitching? What haven't we spoken about yet? We haven't spoken about linebackers, but do we really want to raise the roof again? Don't do that. I mean, I know Reggie Ragland's still left. That was the name I had circled today. Oh no, you've started him again.
Excuse me. He's a starter 10 out of 10 times. He's a hell of a good linebacker.
Do you think he could start? Okay, so if the Eagles came away from this draft and offseason without drafting a Mike or a 3-down linebacker, would you be confident with TJ Edwards for a 16-game season?
Yes.
Ooh. I knew Thomas, that would be the ultimate test of faith, because I know he's really high on him.
Okay. Let me just picture this. We've just been bitching a lot about Darius Slay missing tackles, right? So let's look at Nate Gary, who was bottom 10 in 2019 in missed tackles. But by the way, Kamaguchi Hill was the second worst tackling linebacker last year, so that probably paid a little bit of why he's not with the team right now. TJ Edwards was the number 2 best tackling linebacker in 2019. He had a tackle efficiency of 100. He didn't miss a single tackle of the ones that he made. He made every single one of his. He made the most special teams tackles on the team as well. He's a tremendous flower to the ball when he plays from the Mike position. Now, I would not trust TJ Edwards as an outside linebacker for 16 games of the season. That's not even the point. If you get a guy like Javon Hargrave who can two gap, and you have Fletcher Cox, and he can learn how to two gap, doesn't matter, and you have a guy like TJ Edwards in the middle, then you can for real start playing just 2 linebackers and be confident against any running game, even Dallas and Ezekiel Elliott, with only 6 guys in the box vision to ease up the defense behind. He is 100% the best option as a linebacker, including every free agent that is available right now.
Wow, it's big. Do you know what? If he turns into a stud, this will be like the ultimate badge. This is how I am with Ronald Darby. Like, you just never let it go. Like you have to wear that badge with pride everywhere you go. I'm expecting.
I'm gonna die on hill.
Dude, TJ Edwards undershirt. It's like, all right, okay, let's do a round table there, and I'll start with Nick, and we'll work our way around everyone in this chat. All right, so we're talking PSN writers, we're talking fans. It's guilty hour. Who is the worst player that you have died on a hill for? And so a player that you've just put your flag down. You've gone, this is the guy, this is the future, and it's just gone horrifically wrong. No, it can be anyone. So we'll start with Nick. Nick, who's the one player, Nick, that you have died on a hill for that didn't go well?
It's a great question because with all the times I've covered football, trying to remember, probably the biggest one, and I've died on this hill, and I will continue to die on this hill. Josh Rosen, I think, is a good quarterback and will be a good quarterback if he's brought to a system that doesn't set him up to fail. You got to remember something. The Cardinals traded up to get this guy, had him behind a horrendous offensive line in a bad system. Then the next year, for the first time in 40 years, they say, you know what, we're not happy with him. We're going to get another quarterback. So they ship him off to Miami, who doesn't have an offensive line, who don't really have a nice consistent stream of weapons, and the dude's second year of pro football still hasn't been with one team for one whole year, hasn't learned the playbook because he's been on two different rosters. I think he's going to be really good, and I will continue to die on the Josh Rosen is and will be a good quarterback.
It's not a bad hill to die on. I mean, there are worse hills. That hill's still alive. It's not on fire yet, right? I mean, there's still hope.
And let him grow because this is ridiculous.
All right, okay. So we've got the Josh Rosen standing account. Stephen, who's the one player that you've been on willing to die on a hill for, but just didn't pan out?
The one that I spent most money on is Jordan Mailata.
See, I don't know. We'll get to that because that's a very interesting discussion. It's if you're in the chat, I wrote an article today, phillysportsnetwork.com, discussing how much pressure is on Mailata now, like between now and probably the next couple months, of whether or not the Eagles feel the need to bring in a backup. But anyway, carry on. Sorry, it's a little side note. We'll talk about that in just a sec. That's a very good topic to bring up.
Well, I mean, I spent like $90 on getting the Eagles jersey from not played for the first 2 years. So,
Oh, wow. Was it an official Eagles one? Like,
yeah.
oh, really?
I was that stupid.
I mean, hey, I've got a Sam Bradford one. It could be worse.
Yeah, to be fair.
I remember, like, on
Embarrassing.
a bit of a separate note, my first ever like Philly jerseys. So I ordered a bulk of 3. They're all fake, right, from like China or somewhere. And like because I wanted all of them at once, I did the teenager thing of like give it to me now, I don't care. So I had a Claude Giroux one, which I still have and still fits me. I had a LaShawn McCoy one, which he then got traded about a week later. No, he got cut, sorry, a week later. And I had a Nick Foles one. So literally within about a week, Nick Foles and LaShawn McCoy were both just got. I was like, brilliant, that's great. That's £80 I'm not going to see again. But I still kept it. I wore the Foles one on Super Bowl night. So that was a nice little story. Thomas, who's the one player I guess you're dying on a hill for TJ Edwards, but that's a good hill. That hill's got flowers on it. There's sunshine. There's no rain yet. Is there a hill that is a little less positive?
There are no other flowers in TJ Edwards on my hill because they've all been kicked out of the organization.
Oh, no. All right, well, we'll let you stay on that hill then. We won't interrupt your hill. We'll leave you on that one. All right. What about you, J-Fizz? Anyone that springs to mind? Oh.
Because you lined up right.
It's
until he's gone, like it was his fault. We started last season. I was so excited because I was like, oh, he's gonna start behind Djax, and if Djax goes down, or if Djax needs to rest, he got enough speed to rest, and they'll just plug him into the plays. And what's his name? Mike Brown was like, yep, screw that. We're just gonna go ahead and make all our players do something. So there's that. No, I think Matt Howard is going to be a decent player. I don't think he'll be a superstar, but I think he'll be a great role player, kind of like a John Brown or something like that. And
Oh, wow. All right, Brad.
He knows what he's doing at all times.
According to pro, wide receiver focus. All right, Brandon, what about you? Is there a player that you've died on the hill on?
At least I have a good 5 minutes to take a decision on this. The only player that comes to mind for me was kind of recently, and I know he kind of gets a second chance in the XFL right now. I was hoping for a little more promise from Donnell Humphrey. There was all this hype about him. All this hype about him coming out of college that he was going to be a good replacement for Darren Sproles, him as quick as he was with his shiftiness and everything, breaking records here and there, and it's going to just then, he's lost on our practice squad. It's kind of a shame, but it is what it is.
That's fair. Right, I mean, Geordie, is there a player that you have died on the hill for? Go and shake it up, surprise us. Go. If there's someone in mind, surprise me. Go on.
Okay, then. So, had a player who going into college at Notre Dame, he was a walk-on, and I kind of bought his jersey, got his jersey. I was all about it. He comes in, has good seasons. Chase Claypool lining up next to him is getting drafted. And he ends up going on to have a good season this senior season, but he's not going into the draft, not projected to be drafted. And I will die on a hill.
That's all you need. It's the dedication. It's all you need. My one's more embarrassing. Mine was all kind of rolled into one, really. I mean, the long-time PSN fans, or if you've been around the website for a while, you'll remember the period that before the drafting of Carson Wentz, before the Eagles even moved up to get Carson Wentz, because they moved up twice, didn't they, right? So, in my mind, right, they moved up the first time, and the dream scenario for me, who at the time was a diehard Sam Bradford stan, was going into all the charting, all the analytics. I was going back and forth with everyone. And do you know what? Credit to Sam Bradford, because if I didn't do that, PSN would not be where it is today. I can guarantee you that much. I was like, do you know what? Bradford's the guy. But the Eagles trade up. They needed a running back at the time. I was like, fine, take a running back or a corner here. And in the third round, what you're going to do is you're going to draft a Stanford product by the name of Kevin Hogan in the third round, okay? And this guy is going to come in and he's going to learn under Sam Bradford. He's going to learn everything from the master, Sam Bradford, okay? Who knows everything about how to run an offense. And then within 2 years, he's going to go and that's it. That's your franchise QB. And I was like, don't worry about Goff. Don't worry about Wentz. Wentz is from a small school. Jared Goff's lame. Kevin Hogan, mate. He's got a weird throw motion. I like it. We're going to go with Kevin Hogan. And that didn't work. And, then he went to the Browns and he started for a little bit. And I still watch Shield 22 when I'm feeling a bit lonely sometimes of Kevin Hogan in the preseason just to get me through those dark days. But that's the most embarrassing hill, I think, that I've died on for sure. That Kevin Hogan is a franchise quarterback. Because he just hasn't been. He's not even been a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, at least mine was like, there was a plan in place of like, well, you get someone else, there's a bridge, Sam Bradford's the bridge, and then Kevin Hogan walked. At least I had an idea. But it wasn't like a bad evaluation. I was never high on Paxton Lynch, for whatever it's worth. I was more Kevin Hogan than Paxton Lynch, which is somehow worse than that.
To be fair, ESB has been dying on plenty of hills over the time, so.
We've all been there. Is Patrick it? Did Patrick join for a bit? He didn't. Okay, right. I just did my little turny head thing that became the meme in the video. Right, let's chat out in the YouTube chat. Right, that's our next giveaway. Right, when we get to 100 likes, which I don't know how far we're on now. I think we're on 75. If we get to 100, we'll do another one, and you have to admit your guiltiest player you die on a hill for, okay? And then the most embarrassing one will win a t-shirt. So we're on 75. If we get 25 more likes, we'll give away a second t-shirt, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for all tuning in. It's been a blast so far. On to something a bit interesting now. I wanted to talk about Jordan Mailata if we can, because obviously now the Eagles are in a bit of a weird spot where Halapoulivaati Vaitai's got himself a monumentally sized bag, all right? 5 years, $50 million. I couldn't be happier for him. I think he's fully deserving of it. But it's left now the Eagles with Andre Dillard as your starter. I mean, Jason Peters could come back, so let's not write that off just yet. There is chance that he can return. But the only other tackle on the roster at the minute is Jordan Mailata. And if we look at the fact that on average, I did the terrible math here, that backup tackles for the Eagles, Vaitai, has played 3.4 games per season on average. So he's had 55 games in total, right? There's 16 games a year. On average, he's starting 3.4 games a year. So, like, it's not that the Eagles tackles are going to go down, but there might be a suspension, there might be an out. You never know what's going to happen. So it's likely to assume that if Mailata is the primary backup, he's going to see some sort of regular season action. Is he ready to be the team's primary backup? And we're going to go to Stephen first because he's got his jersey.
No, we shouldn't have him as primary tackle. What you should do with Jordan Mailata, we've been missing a power back. Shove him in there. Look at the dude. He played rugby. He knows how to run now. Shove him in at power back. You want a 30-man personnel, stick him at tight end. Just dynamic with him. He's that type of guy that I think to put him at tackle seems to almost, I don't know, hold him back almost from everything that was leading up to the draft. Because that was the first draft I ever covered for like the NFL. And obviously I was mainly focusing on the Eagles, being an Eagles fan. And Jordan Mailata, I've just fell in love with. I fell in love with his tape, I fell in love with his story, everything like that. To see him just stuck at tackle, I don't know. I don't think that suits him. I feel like everything that's currently behind him, everything that's happened so far, he deserves to have a dynamic role in the squad. And I don't know, he just seems like the sort of player that you could just stick in at, say, running back. Well, I say running back is fullback basically, or someone like a tight end if you really want to, and just see what he could do. It'd be interesting to see. It'll be something that completely throws everything up in the air. Teams wouldn't expect it, let's be honest. And it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's something that we could really push, have Jordan Mailata as some sort of weird hybrid.
What about you, Thomas? I mean, where do you stand on Mailata after 2 years in the NFL?
I don't know. I'm not ready to declare him the solidified backup tackle for the future, but I think he's been making some great strides, and it was fun watching him in the preseason games of 2019 before he was phantom IR, and apparently he did not have back surgery, so that's a real positive. And he's so strong that if he learns a little bit of technique, he could really become something. And now he's been cross training at both guard and tackle, so that's a positive, and they keep holding on to him. That's one of the best signs of it all. Like, he was drafted in the 7th round, so they're not that invested in him. If it wasn't a good project, they would just let him go. But even though they've been trying him out at guard and tackle, and he still hold on to him, that would be one of the great indicators that the team are satisfied with what they've been seeing. That they're willing to let Big B and JP and all those guys go without really committing to any backups immediately. So far indicates that Mailata's been making good strides, and we should be excited to see him in what he's become in the preseason games of 2020.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I know you did a film room article last year for preseason, and I think the one video that blew up on the PSN YouTube channel was his first preseason, and then we followed it up with its successor next year. So there'll be a third one, that the Holy Trinity will be complete, don't worry about it. Then there's the guy that always tells us to upload more Australian football players, as Thomas knows, in like every stream. So we've almost created like a little Jordan Mailata sort of like progression journey with PSN. And I mean, like, that was definitely a step forward in year 2, but for me, I felt that year 1, was like so overwhelming because he'd never played the sport before. And within 2 months was kicking back well, was like, it was good. He looked good. He was handling NFL defensive ends. Like, it doesn't matter what level, he was handling NFL defensive ends and was doing it well. Year 2, obviously, you get a bit harsher with the criticism. You draw a closer eye to detail and you're like, well, what's changed? And I think that what you saw was someone relying on his athleticism and just being a human freak of nature a bit too much. Like, he'd be relying on the giant wingspan and the ginormous body and the strides, but moving laterally and anticipating like where defensive ends are going, like trying to set his hands up. Like, I think it was a bit too raw still, and he was very much relying on the absolute freak of nature that he is, as opposed to being a fundamentally sound tackle, which is not a bad thing. But for us to be fully confident in him, I think we need to see another step forward in year 3. We've got to see that refinement now.
The best thing about it in the 2019 preseason games was that we got to see him against Josh Allen against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he handled himself pretty well against it. There were a couple of times where he got beat, but Allen is also, he was a top pick. He's a freak of nature in himself, and opposite of Mailata, he's a tremendous technical football player. But it was great to see him going up against a top edge rusher, because you rarely get to see that in preseason games.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that note, I'm gonna have to check out now. It's 3:40 a.m.
Wow.
I need to get some sleep.
Thomas, you're an MVP. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Good to see you guys.
Before you go, wait. Okay, good. Promote your Twitter and tell everyone where they can follow you, because I'd feel bad otherwise, so just make sure. Yeah.
Right. So my Twitter handle, I actually have to look that up. My Twitter handle is @ThomasRP93, and if you want to join in on all my overreactions, feel free to do so. When the Eagles actually do sign somebody, there'll be plenty of videos on there.
Amazing. Thomas, you're a star. Thank you for coming on, man. It's been an absolute blast tonight. My mic went. It's been an absolute blast tonight, man. Thank you so much.
Right. See you, right.
Bye. And now, but we're down, so we lose Thomas, but I believe Patrick's in here, and so is Hypestead Redemption, who, unless is he been in there? I don't know. It's Isaac. Oh, it's Isaac, right. Oh, okay. We got Isaac. I was going to say it's a new name, so he caught me off guard a bit, just trying to catfish me out here, take advantage of the fact that it's 2:40 a.m. It's disgraceful behaviour. How are you doing, Isaac? It's been a while, my friend. That sounded disappointing. Was it a long day of Eagles news? I don't know. What if I missed? You're gonna film. Yeah, I mean, where do we even begin? Where do we begin with what Howie has done today? It's been a wild journey so far, and now I've just realised that Steve, what you've done is lure me into a bullying circle of you and your Discord best friends, and now I'm just sat. I'm just primed for the taking. So what I'm going to say then, Steve, all right, okay, we've got 114 of you in the chat. Let's have a bit of a Q&A. So guys, any Eagles questions you've got, spam them in the chat right now. I promise you, by the way, for the last hour, I'm not staring at my phone dodgily, right? I'm doing it. It's the chat is on the phone. It's just that my MacBook screen is literally exploding, and it's the only way I can keep up. So I promise I'm not being rude or on Twitter. I'm just sat reading your lovely messages. So get your chat messages in. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I think we're 2 away. We've almost gained like 30 subscribers tonight. So if we need 2 more, we're on 15,950, and that's a nice even number. Yeah, if we're giving away a second t-shirt and you're not subscribed, I might cry. So 20 more likes we need for the second giveaway. If we need 2 more subscribers to get to a nice even number, and just get your Eagles questions in, and we'll have a nice little roundtable discussion to end off what has been a mix of high energy and I just think woeful misery of Eagles talk today. But I mean, Isaac, anything on your mind since coming in? Oh, of course you can. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I just want to jump in on the whole Jordan Mailata situation.
Sure.
I have to agree with Steven on this one. When I first heard the idea of us bringing in a rookie player as a 7th round pick, was kind of an anomaly situation. I mean, obviously this was the first time that we heard of like a cross sport kind of athleticism type of player. We know this because we've seen Chris Hogan work with a cross player. He comes in, he plays receiver for the Patriots. I think it was the same thing for Julian Edelman. And I was thinking, well, he would be a hell of a profit at like a fullback position because this guy is going to like the Eagles would have an opportunity to expand on such an innovative method and applying that kind of um, skill set in the NFL is something that is hardly seen before, and I think it would make a splash as far as the way teams construct their rosters in which who they take in the draft with those kinds of projects.
That's fair.
I'll quickly add to this, right? If anyone didn't actually watch the Jordan Mailata tape that was on it before the draft when he was taken, sit there, watch it, try and come back to me and say that he wouldn't make a fantastic NFL fullback. Just amazing to watch him. He destroys human beings for a living. Genuinely.
That's what I do daily. No, I'm joking.
No, I'm sure he destroys you, bro.
Yeah, true. Ooh, I see what you do. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing, and I agree. Duck says, Liam, looked like you had a seizure there for a second. Yeah, basically, I don't mean to raise alarm bells, but if anyone has been in the Twitch streams where, we stream Football Manager, there's a common trend of the green screen falling over, and it almost happened again. So, I attack it, and it... Do you know what the worst thing is? It falls onto a radiator. So it's like if I don't turn and get it up, I'm terrified it's going to go ablaze. But luckily we sorted it. Yeah, I'm really worried. But let's just get to some of the questions then. D's nuts space S and his picture is a leprechaun. I feel it's much more beneficial for them if we give a full description of their profile. Says, should the Eagles trade for a linebacker? Now that's interesting because obviously Steve pointed out that all the top linebackers in free agency are pretty much gone at this point. Would you be in the market for a trade, Steve? Is there anyone that would stand out as a potential trade candidate?
So I haven't actually looked into linebackers that possibly could be up for trading. I've been focusing on the free agents and watching them fall one by one. But yeah, it's got to be something of a priority in my eyes. I know Thomas was dying on the hill with TJ Edwards, but we can't go into the season with Avery and TJ Edwards as our linebacker core. We just can't. We've got to have someone who's got proper NFL experience at that position. We had a chance to try and get Joe Sherbert, someone like Corey Littleton. We missed out on both of those. We should now, even if it means drafting a linebacker around round 3, 4, something like that. Just try to. I know Harry doesn't particularly like investing in the linebacker position. I'm pretty sure he's completely forgot that there is a linebacker position in football. But just with how there's a line, with how badly this free agency has started and this off season has started, how he really needs to get back to the fans. This is something I pointed out in my running back piece. LaShawn McCoy, Shady, is still free agent. We could possibly bring him in.
But it's every year though. It's every year. Hang on. That is the most Eagles thing I've ever heard, right? The question is, are there linebackers you would trade for? And the response is, wait a minute, hear me out. LaShawn McCoy's a free agent. I'm only messing. Yeah.
He goes out and he invests in a position that he's refused to invest in, that fans want him to invest in. As linebacker. Go out and get a good linebacker, whether it's in the draft and you draft a high prospect, or you trade for a linebacker that may be available at this point. I'm not too sure who at this point, because like I said, I haven't looked into linebackers
Yeah.
start with. And we obviously didn't do anything. So yeah, linebacker as a position we should be trying to invest not heavily into, but a good amount into it.
Abs. On that note as well, now Legend Killer 05, who has been refusing to download Twitter all night very adamantly. Oh, go.
We picked up two linebackers last year and got rid of both of them. Got rid of him. Zach Brown was leading the team in tackles at the time. So we were investing in the linebacker position, but just didn't work out. And to what you said about getting linebackers with experience, we started the whole season, and he was injured. Now we can go ahead and bring up the tackle situation, which is fair. But another year there's done after switching positions coming down from safety, and then having to add weight. We can give him some a transition time. He wasn't terrible.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't, but we need to add something to that group.
Yeah.
DJ Edwards and Avery. That's it.
I think it's more of a transition. We don't have to think about that. We have two people that we invested in that can both play linebacker. I'm down to draft somebody, but it makes sense to me not to bring anybody in just to see what he has for another year, and then the worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. We go ahead and put it first.
Yeah, I also think that there's like a hidden premise in there too. Like we got to think about it this way: who are we? Like, are we comfortable with somebody in the linebacker group right now being the leader in that room? And it's just I think that's adding to the fact of us considering a trade for a linebacker. Are we comfortable with a guy like Nate Gary to kind of take that role of the leader of the linebackers and bring along TJ Edwards, Alex Singleton, and we got to think of Jannard Avery as well because
Yes.
he's another hybrid player like Nate. But then again, he might have the responsibility of going with the defensive end. So do we have anybody in assistance that can help with that leadership kind of role with Nate Gary? Do we need to bring in somebody, or are we comfortable with Nate to take on that kind of responsibility?
Yeah, I think on that note, really quickly, because that's a really good point, is that I know someone in the chat, so Legend Killer 05, who's been adamant, has said all that, so he's not getting Twitter, he's told me, he's like, Liam, I refuse to get Twitter, but I will answer your trivia questions, and I respect the hustle. So Legend Killer, if you win the trivia, email me, alright, and we'll sort it out. Okay, well, I'll bend around you. He says, what do you think about Jannard Avery? Hope you didn't forget about him. He's a beast, they might move him to linebacker. Now that's interesting, because obviously I was quite high on the move. I did the film room on him. Clearly a little bit of a misfit in Cleveland when they shifted scheme. You'd think that he was going to have like a role as a stand-up edge rusher. I think that was the main benefit, right? That bringing him in, he's going to come down, maybe in situational blitzer. I think he got a sack on his debut, didn't he, as well, if I remember rightly. So came in with a bang, and then nothing happened. So you'd like to think with a full offseason, the Eagles gave up, was it a third round pick for him? Or was it a fifth? Was it a fifth?
I thought it was a fourth, to be honest.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's in the middle between 3 and 5, so we'll go with a 4. Like, we'll say for the sake of the argument, it was a 4th round pick. But I'd like to see more from him. I would really like to see more from him. I think that upside-wise, it's clearly there. He's young enough. He's cheap enough. I don't think... It's a weird one where he's basically a tweener defensive end, isn't it? Where he can't really play outside linebacker, but he's a bit too... light for defensive end. So hopefully they find a role for him. I think it definitely felt again towards the end of it like a bit of a disconnect between the coaching staff and Belong. Duck said you need to figure a way to broadcast the Discord audio better. I fully agree. My problem with that is again, my Mac is broken and I'm running on half a screen, so I can't see Discord. That's the issue that we've got. Okay, it's really hard. So I impulsively started a live stream to talk to you guys because I missed the post game ones. I wanted to get the Discord boys involved because it's always a blast having them on. And I basically kind of didn't work out what to do. I had 20 minutes to sort the audio and make an image and do the animated background and do this. So it was hey, I did my best, okay? I did my best. We'll set it up next time. But yeah, any other questions from you guys, drop them in the chat below. Someone says, what about Kareem Hunt? That's from Darren Clark. Any interest there, guys?
He was tagged, right?
Was he tagged?
I think so.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, that was good. That was a good question. Huh?
They put a second round tender on him.
Ah, okay.
They put a second round tender on Kareem.
I mean, if they're not going to pay Jordan Howard, I can't see them paying Melvin Gordon. That's the thing.
It's taking way too much away from Connor.
Yeah.
I think we have enough stability at the running back position to really put that at the bottom of the priority list. So considering Melvin has consistently been a number one back, it's kind of another Jordan Howard scenario, but on I guess a higher tier because they're both high profile running backs. They like to be ball dominant. They want to be the feature guy, and we're already trying to develop that with Miles Sanders with the amount of promise that he showed as a rookie. So I don't see us throwing a bone for Melvin.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. All right. Oh, I missed that. He was good. On that note, though, guys, while we are getting towards the end, I mean, like, it is almost 3 a.m., so we've almost done a 2-hour stream, so we're going to end it, I think, at bang on 3. We'll go bang on 2 hours, all right? So we've got 7 minutes worth of stuff left. And I mean, bearing in mind, 4 minutes of that is going to be sop and just me crying and saying how much I love you all. So we've got to account for that in there as well. Any closing thoughts from you guys about the Eagles, what we've seen today, what may be moving ahead tomorrow and that kind of thing?
Invested in the draft with putting rookies around Carson when he's one of the only elite quarterbacks in the league that doesn't have a bona fide receiver, and it hurts me for I don't want to say quite a long time, but you know the man deserves somebody like DeAndre Hopkins. He deserves somebody like Michael Thomas. He deserves somebody like Odell when Odell was kind of in mental shape. Antonio Brown, you know, receivers like that. And I guess you can switch spectrums and say that Carson has shown well enough that he doesn't need like a Pro Bowl receiver to really get things done. And he kind of went Brady-esque with taking lesser tier receivers to great heights and having them rally around him. But I still feel that Carson deserves like that type of number one receiver, you know, like in comparison to what happened to Mahomes, I feel with Nico Hardman and stuff like that. I mean, where is everybody else with that situation? Last year I was screaming that we had probably the best receiver coach in the league with Alshon, Jackson, and that would have also helped Nelson come along with. And again, it only took him half a that's what I'm saying. It only took him half a game to get everything going, and then once everything got going, then the end result came through. If we get rid of Alshon, let's just say we keep Alshon for the season for whatever reason, we just end up keeping him, we just don't want to take the captain or whatever. I'm okay with that receiver core being Alshon, Gray, and then DJ. I think that would also be really good because I think Gray showed that he can be a consistent wide receiver.
Yeah.
End of the day, I'm genuine. End of the day,
Alshon finally having his piece on the outside of being awesome and then shot. If y'all remember that Redskins game when D Jackson won, Alshon was also playing very, very well. So I think that'll help him out, not having all the pressure on the outside on him. If we do end up getting rid of Alshon, I think this also allows JJ to finally be in a situation where he can let himself shine and put him in position to win. Again, 3 of the season last year, the mistake
be okay with it. Again, it's just we got to make sure people stay healthy. That's it.
There's, I mean, that adds to the number of other question marks. I mean, you just brought up Ortega Whiteside with, like a lot of some of us, feel that the presence of Alshon is kind of hampering his improvement and getting the necessary snaps that he needs on the field to really develop that rapport with Carson. And then we have to look at a couple of other individuals that came in late in the season that were making contributions. It's like, well, what are they going to do with the likes of Deontay Burnett and Robert Davis? Are they going to stay on the roster and have to be in competition through training camp with the addition possibly in free agency with Tyho and, with the upcoming draft? Like, what are they going to do with those guys? Yeah, we may seem that the wide receiving group right now as a whole has a large size, but that could really diminish at the time of training camp, especially, with the likes of Robert and Deontay that I brought up. Like, what are we going to do with those two? Are they going to get a chance from the 2020 season, knowing that, they can come in for like a play or two and make an impact? I think it's a bigger question mark than we're really than some of us really see.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing I'll say, and I've said it in my last two pieces of the site, there's still options out there for the Eagles. It's definitely looking worse than I think some people are putting out. There's still options out there. A cornerback with the trade for Darius Slay. I know me and Liam Martin, I don't think, but he's still a quality cornerback. He can improve the defense straight away. Guys like Logan Ryan, Prince Henry Kamara are still out there on the open market. But Robbie Anderson still out there at wide receiver or Perryman. There's options across the field that the Eagles can do. We're still obviously going further on past the free agency. We've still got 10 picks in the draft. We can easily move up if we wanted to and take one of the 3 top receivers in the draft. There's a lot of options for the Eagles still. And even though I've got to admit, it's still worrying that we aren't being as aggressive as people were saying that how it would be. But then you've also got to look at the money that's been flowing around for players. Like Chris Harris Jr. deal, I'm glad we didn't get him in the end.
Yeah.
Those deals that happened in free agency that I'm glad we stayed away from, and it makes sense. All I'll say is just keep calm, just give a little more patience because there are still options out there that we can still produce.
Absolutely. And on that, my microphone's come out. My microphone has come out. Hang on. There we go. It's back. The microphone's back. We had to end it in style, right? It wouldn't be an LJ stream if I didn't mess up somehow. On that note, it's nice to end on a positive, right? We thought after all the doom and gloom and stress of today, it's nice to end on a positive. So guys, thank you so much for taking your evenings to chill. I mean, like, it's been a while since we've had a Discord stream, right? Since we had everyone together. We've got like 90 of you. We had like nearly 150 at one point. I know it is a super exciting time or stressful time for the Eagles, but being able to share this with you like on a live stream, like, it's my favourite thing. Purely because like making a video, writing an article is cool, but it's me giving something to you. With a live stream, we make it together. It's bringing the community in. If you do want to be part of the Discord server, there are links being floated around the chat constantly. I will put another one on before we cut this stream off, so you can join our community. Talk with the regulars who are all here. So Brandon, Jay Fizzle Dizzle, Isaac, Geordie Fighter, all the boys. Steve, of course, who is like our little inside mole into the world of Discord, just lingers around and tells me when people are being mean to me. But seriously, guys, it's been an absolute blast having you all back. So just thank you so much for all the support you give this channel. Like, especially, like I said a few times this week, knowing that the next month ahead for Philly Sports Network ain't going to be easy, all right? There's no sport going on. Like, it's going to be a little bit rocky probably. So the fact that you guys are still supporting us, willing to take an hour, 2 hours to talk Eagles, it means everything. Like, we're so damn lucky to call you our little family, and you mean everything. So enjoy the rest of your night. Make sure you sleep easy, and we'll be back with another live stream soon.